The factory radio in my 92 Cadillac Brougham hearse stopped working, so I'm going to replace it with a new one. My criteria are that it's inexpensive, has Bluetooth, can display what's streaming from my phone, and doesn't look too modern. I settled upon the Kenwood DPX 304 MBT. I've already disconnected the negative terminal from the battery. In order to remove the radio dash trim, we need to take the vent lever chrome tabs off. Just use a small 1/16 inch hex key from underneath to loosen the grub screw. Now to remove the two Phillips head screws at the bottom. With the screws out, the radio trim should pop right out, or at least mine does. If you have any issues removing it, try pulling it from the very top. You can see the two slots above the radio where the dash trim tabs go in. Use a 7mm socket to remove the screws holding the radio in place. There's going to be one here, and here. There's also one in the middle at top, but mine was missing. With those out, the radio should be free. I've got the radio out, and normally you would unplug the harness and be done, but there's a tuner amp buried inside the dash. I didn't want to have to pull apart the entire dash to get to it, so I'm going to show you a way to avoid doing that. I need to remove the plastic cover under the driver's side. I think it used 7mm screws before, but I've replaced them with Phillips head to make it easier to access the fuse box. Once they're out, I can just pull this down and towards me. The back of the cover clips onto the underside of the steering wheel column, which is why I had to pull it at a slightly downward angle to remove it. The fuse tabs on left are for my dash cam and underglow kit. The tuner box is somewhere up here, so I'm going to follow the AC duct towards the driver's side kick panel to this one screw here. It looks like once I remove it, this section of duct will pop right out. The duct came off easily. Now for the next section. It looks like it's held in place with a single 7mm screw. This one was trickier to remove. I had to pull it to the left and down while wiggling it back and forth until it came loose. If we climb underneath and look up, we can see the green chime box. It's held in place with either a pair of 1/4 inch or 6mm screws. Just loosen them to remove it. With the box out of the way, I can get my head up underneath, and that looks like the radio antenna plug, meaning I found the tuner box. It's pretty cramped under there, so I'm going to take these two Phillips head screws out and remove the trim underneath the steering wheel to give myself some more headspace. I unplugged the antenna, and now I'm going to take these two 10mm screws out. Now to unscrew the 10mm nut attaching the tuner box to the bracket. With the nut removed, the bracket will pop right out. If we reach halfway along the bottom edge, there are two harnesses next to each other to unplug. The other three need to be accessed from above. I removed the passenger side mirror control. It was held in place with two 7mm screws. The lights already popped out, so I'm just going to disconnect the control harness. I also removed the two Phillips head screws holding the climate control box in place. I'm just going to pull it out and set it aside. Reaching through the climate control opening, I can start unplugging the upper harnesses. And the next one. And the last one in this group. Now I can just pull the tuner box out from underneath. This is where I unplugged the two harnesses from below, while this is where the three on top were connected. It was oriented like this when it was behind the dash. Okay, let's set this down and grab my Red Wolf stereo harness to make sure the plugs are the same. Perfect. Only 3 of these 4 inputs in the tuner box are used. I also want to make sure the included antenna adapter fits, which it does, though it's a very tight fit. Here's the new radio. And here's the harness it came with. The purple, gray, white, and green pairs are for the speakers. I'm going to match them up with the same colored wires on the Red Wolf harness. Since the hearse doesn't have rear speakers, I don't need to hook up the purple or green wires, but I'm going to anyway. The wire color should match up between the two harnesses, but it's always good to double check. I'm going to connect all the speaker wires first. I'm going to solder them all together, so I need to make sure I have heat shrink in place on all of them. Nice and clean. Now for the constant and switched power wires and ground wire. All that's left is the power antenna wire. My radio doesn't use dash lights for dimming, so the solid orange wire isn't needed. To be on the safe side, I put heat shrink over the ends of both orange wires. I have the new harness installed, and I added some tape here to keep the wires together. The 3 small harnesses that were plugged into the top of the tuner box are now plugged in here. The blue tab is a little too wide for the Red Wolf harness, but the plug is still pretty secure. I'm going to hook up the antenna with the adapter attached to the back of the radio here, and then temporarily hook up the battery for a quick test. Alright, fingers crossed. We got power. And the antenna is working. And we got sound. Now to mount the radio with this Metro Dash kit. It says we need to remove the 4 10mm screws holding the factory brackets in place. I'm supposed to remove all the tabs as per figure C, and then attach the factory brackets to the Metro brackets. Unfortunately, my brackets differ from the diagram and have no way to attach on the sides. Time to take some measurements and design my own bracket. Here's my 3D printed solution. I'm going to use 3M tape to attach the factory brackets. This hole here and here are for the indexing nubs on the bottom of the bracket, so it'll just pop in just like that. And it's the same for underneath. This keeps the brackets perfectly aligned. I have the screws unloosed so I can slide it back and forth slightly until I can find the right depth for it in the dash. I did a quick test fit, but now I need to install the external mic. I lifted the edge up here a little with trim tools, then pushed the wire through the gap. I'll tape it down to the left of the Cadillac logo and face the mic towards me. I've reinstalled the mirror control with the 7mm screws, but I'm leaving the climate control out until I can get this duct reinstalled. That way I can look through this opening to see where it connects. Here's how the new stereo fits into place. The finishing touch will be my 3D printed faceplate trim. I've already adjusted the radio depth, so now it's time to hook up the harness, antenna, and mic, and mount the head unit. You should have 3 7mm screws. Fortunately, I found an extra screw, so I can have my head unit properly bolted in at the top. With that installed, now it's time to get the underside of the dash in order. I reinstalled the bracket with the 2 10mm screws. Don't forget the ground wire. While I was under here, I relocated the ground wire for my LED-compatible turn signal relay here as well. I also remounted the chime box by retightening these screws. Now to reinstall the duct above the accelerator pedal. This is why I left the climate control box out, so I can see where it connects. Let's push this wire behind it and out of the way. Then I'm going to push the duct into place so it slips over top of the foam. It should look like this when installed. Let's get back underneath the dash, and we're going to secure it right here with the 7mm screw. The other section of duct is going to install over top the end like this, then we're going to push it up into place, and then secure it with this screw. Reinstall the trim under the steering wheel column with the 2 Phillips head screws. To reinstall the cover under the dash, you want to line the clip up with the steering wheel column and push up. Now to work the left side up into place, there's actually a little plastic tab that sticks out that it needs to sit over top of. Right here. And the right side should sit over top of this stud. Then reinstall all 4 screws. With the ducts in place, we can reinstall the climate control box. I unplugged mine so I could clean the contacts. It'll be reinstalled with these 2 screws. I've reconnected my battery and popped the radio dash trim into place. It gets secured with these 2 Phillips head screws down here and here. If it doesn't sit correctly, you may need to readjust the head unit depth. Use a 1/16" hex key to reinstall both the vent lever chrome tabs. And we're done. I hope this helps you out if you need to replace the radio in your 1990 to 92 Cadillac Brougham. I'm going to slowly add more Cadillac videos along with my usual Scion TC ones to my channel, so if you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do so now, and as always, thank you for watching.